Hello. Hello. Good evening. Good evening. Move my microphone in a little bit closer. Let's see. This might be good. Yeah, this might be good. Guess I can come a little bit closer. It's not going to hurt anything. So, so. Thought I would get back on today. I did an episode yesterday and it had a pretty good response. So, what I'm going to talk more about again today, go back to the topic of acting. I've been neglecting acting a bit, I think. I'm looking all around here because I have my YouTube studio open right here so that if I get any comments or questions, I can address those. And I have my notes over here. I need to move my notes a little bit, do a little bit of housekeeping for this live session. There we go. That looks a little better. And my eye line is right here. And everything seems to be working fine. I can even come a little bit closer with this microphone, I think. I don't think I'm overdoing it. Oh, I forgot about the camera is in this new webcam I got. Works pretty well, but it's in default as, oh, there we go. Hit it right there on the spot. It's in default, which is a good feature, autofocus, but it's really not necessary when I'm sitting right here in front of you guys, because what happens is it keeps hunting and hunting and hunting and hunting for the best autofocus. And it already has the best autofocus. So, I mean, it already has the best focus point, which is just around the main area of my face. So, what we're going to talk about today is, you know what? Let me move this a little bit closer this way. Okay, good. What we're going to talk about today is performance. Again, topic is acting. Performance is the shared currency. Now, what do I mean by that? Performance is the shared currency. This is geared towards new actors. I'm going to read my little note here and then I'm going to elaborate. Acting doesn't change when the medium changes, whether they are two cameras that are 6 inches from your face or an audience 50 feet away. The core job of acting for an actor or actress is the same. So what do I mean by that? We talked yesterday on the previous video. If you didn't see it yesterday, previous video, I need to get into the habit of doing that. The day I shoot it is irrelevant. The day you watch it is what's important. So in the previous video, we talked a little bit about the two different types of acting, acting for stage and acting for film. Those are the ones I focus on. Now, there are multiple different kind of acting. There's voiceover acting. There's video game acting. There's now internet acting, YouTube, TikTok, all types of acting. But the ones I focus on, the ones that are most important to me and important to most viewers of film and television and feature films, dramas on television, comedies on television, television programming in general, and again, feature films or movies, whatever you want to call it. Those are the two areas I focus on. Those are my strong points. Those are my background. Those are what I have worked in for the past over 35 years. So that's where I have the authority to talk about. And that's everything that comes from me as we go forward in this group of video lessons I've embarked on will refer to either acting for stage or acting for the camera. And when I say acting for camera, I'm mainly focusing on television and film. Could be short film, could be no budget film, could be any kind of film, but you know what I'm talking about. So the styles are different, but the medium does change. And what the actor must focus on always remains the same. And if you think about it, and I have thought about it a lot over the years, when I work with different techniques, when I learn different techniques, when I try to modify techniques that I have, that I use, the bottom line is being believable. The bottom line is being believable. And there's a lot of different techniques. We're going to talk about some of those as we go forward in these video series that I'm working on right now with you guys. Thanks for joining me. We're going to talk about a lot of them. We're going to touch on some of the main ones. We're not going to talk about everything, but the main ones are the ones where, and this is the key, where you will take what's important to you, what connects to you, what talks to you, what reaches you, and you're going to build your own technique. You're going to build, it's going to be based on something. It's going to be based probably on one of the traditional techniques. For years, when I started acting, I didn't realize that most of what I did was based in the method technique. And that had been something before I had used that technique and that skill in acting and as a child in play. And I didn't realize it. Obviously, as a child, I didn't know anything about the method technique. But as I started to study acting, I realized that's what I had been doing all along. That's what I had been doing as a child, playing with my GI Joes, playing with my little green army men, with the soldiers, and drawing pictures and art and painting. My imagination was always based on some rudimentary form of the method technique. Now, if you want to know more about the method technique, I don't consider myself an expert in explaining it. Like that old saying goes, I know it when I see it. And I've used it my whole career as an actor. And it has served me well. It has helped me when I inevitably get stuck or got stuck and didn't know what to do with a character or how to develop a character. I would fall back on my early learning. And again, in the previous video, I talked about a book, Acting for the Camera from Tony Barr. That was one of the very first acting books I ever read when I before I even went to college, before I even got out of high school. And I didn't realize that I had read that book that early um, until a few months ago. I had been planning to do this series of videos based on the teachings of Tony Barr's book. And I looked in the back of the book and I saw that my home address, 53 Maple Avenue in Union, New Jersey, was stamped in the back of the book. I must have had some kind of stamp back then when I was young, and I stamped my name in. It was like a return stamp that you used when you mail envelopes. And I must have stamped my name back there to, mark the book as my own. But I didn't realize I had had that book that early. But it has been the foundation. Now, I went on to go to college. I went on to go through multiple acting schools and worked with multiple different coaches over the years. That's what I recommend to you guys. But if you're brand new and you're still trying to decide, is this something that I really want to do? Is this something that I'm really, truly interested in? Getting books that were written long ago. I mean, that book was published in 86. So there are many great books on the skills of an actor, basic books. I'm talking about the advanced ones. And ultimately you can work your ways up. You work your way up to those if you so choose. But I'm gearing most of these videos that I do here on YouTube towards the beginner or someone who is just thinking about getting into this field. So again, back to my point here. That's why I have my list up here. You'll notice me looking right now. I'm looking at my list again. Acting doesn't change when the medium changes. If you're on stage, you have to be believable. There's certain things that you do different on stage. We talked about that in the previous video that you don't do in film and television because the mediums are different. A brief, quick little aside if you haven't seen the earlier video. Obviously, stage is bigger, so you're bigger. Film is smaller, so your performance is smaller. That's just the basics of it. That's the basics, but there's much more to it than that. Take a look at that previous video. They're going to be in a play list called acting. And all of this content, again, is based on my experience actually being on different levels of production, from high-end projects all the way down to bare bones, no budget projects. And also from being on the other side, being on the other side of the camera as a director, as a producer, as an editor. So I have a well-rounded view of the needs, that people behind the camera, people hiring you, want from an actor, what they expect. And those are the things that I plan to give out to you guys during these videos I'm putting together here for YouTube. And I have a formal lesson also over in on here on YouTube in the course section. It's a little more formalized, a little bit more straight to the point, not as much storytelling as I do in this. I kind of like this because this gives me the option to be more free form. I have my list here to keep me reeled in so that I can kind of focus in on the topic I want to cover at the moment. But the acting one is a little bit more, a lot more, not a little bit more, a lot more focused and fast moving. And it's made to be watched over again, or you can even read the transcripts. YouTube provides the transcripts of the video. So if there's anything you want to repeat or you want to go back and look at, I recommend you do that. You can look at the transcript, or you can YouTube even puts in. I didn't put in chapter points, so most likely it's going to be best to look in the transcript to try to find exactly what if there's something you might want to focus on. But anyway, back to the list. The next one on the list is the actors. I'm going to read it to you. The actor's real work is listening. Performance starts with listening, not delivering your lines, not acting hard, but receiving what happens. Now, this is really important for the new actor. Um, Lucky for me, I think it was just something again. Well, when you come to acting and you decide you come to this career, you're going to bring some natural skills with you, and you don't want to throw away all your natural skills if they serve you, if they serve you well and help you deliver a grounded performance. One of my natural skills when I started, and I think it's something that comes over from my real life, and sometimes I'm overly sensitive to it, is I listen to what people say and I respond. Sometimes it gets me in trouble. It's lost me jobs. It's lost me movie directing roles because I did not think before I responded. I would truly be listening. And if I heard sarcasm or hostility, I would respond in kind. I would respond in kind. And that's a flaw in real life. But in acting, that's not a flaw. If it's in line with the character, if it's in line with who you're playing, if the person you're playing does fly off the handle, does get offended easily, does respond in kind without thinking, that can serve you well. And that's a lot of the roles I've played over the years have been that person. And that has helped me. In real life, not so much. Um, as I aged, I finally started realizing what I was doing, and I would bite my tongue in real life. And that's why I would tell people sometimes they ask me, why did you want to be an actor? Why didn't you gravitate towards a career where you could have easily been more successful? You could have easily been financially more secure at your age right now. I was driven to acting because it allowed me to be me. It allowed me to be the real person that I am inside. Because when you're acting, if you're in a role that is aligned with your real personality, you can make it bigger. You are free to be who you are in acting once you get inside the character. Now, you're always going to take whatever the character is, and the character is going to be prominent. And if the character fits who you really are, then it's wonderful. It's wonderful. And it's happened to me many times in my career where I was hired to play a role and the character was me. I'm not the easiest person to get along with sometimes. Most of the time, I'm pleasant. I'm live in a world where you cherish imagination. I never gave that up, that youthful imagination. That is what a lot of actors have. That's why some of the greatest ones are, they may have that personality. They might not fit in well with the general workaday world. And they probably don't fit well with the general workaday world. I know I don't. And that's why I stayed in this entertainment field. And I thrive in this entertainment field because it fits my personality. It fits who I really am. And the beauty of being an actor and being in a role that fits who you really are, you have that freedom to move. You have that freedom to react when you are truly listening. That's why it's the most important part of acting is listening. Now, sometimes you're in a role, and I've been in many roles where it didn't fit exactly. It wasn't an exact fit for me. And you morph your character to fit the role. You bring what is real from you and you put that into the character. But it all goes back to the same thing. When you respond, you can only respond truthfully if you're actually listening to what the other character is saying. So keep that in mind. The actor's real work is listening. And you can practice in real life. And I know sometimes in real life, if you're any kind of situation, maybe you're listening to your boss and he's telling you something that you already know, and you're really only half listening, start really listening. If you're in school and you're in the classroom and it's boring, and the teacher appears to be droning on and on, blah, blah, blah. That's all you get. Stop whatever you're thinking about and focus. That's going to help you with your acting because acting requires focus. It requires being able to control your attention to focus and listen to the other character. So that's a skill. That's a technique that I've used over my life to sharpen my acting skills because I know, and I just instinctively knew before I it was something I always had. So I must have instinctively known that listening to what the other person is saying is really important. And I remember in college, sometimes we would sit around in my room. My room was kind of like a hangout place in college, in my dorm room, and we would all talk, and each person would get a chance to answer questions. And you had to really listen because you couldn't respond if it was your turn to respond. So that was just some kind of that the students, and I didn't even know it. I when I look back on it, I realized I was naturally interested and truly interested in what the other people were saying. And that skill was something that helped me as early on in my acting career. And that's something that you need to develop. I know a lot of people when you're talking to someone and maybe what they're saying is not holding your attention or not captivating. But as far as acting goes, try to get into the habit of really listening when someone is speaking to you and really paying attention to what they're saying so that you can truly respond. That's part of once in a while I teach customer service classes. And that's a big part of customer service where you have to truly listen to the person calling up and complaining. Even if they're being obnoxious with you, you need to truly listen to what they're saying to you so that you can respond and potentially help them. That's just a big part of customer service. But that is a gigantic part of acting. Remember that when you get a script or you get an audition, read the lines that the other person will say to you. You don't have to memorize those, obviously, but you want to be aware of what they say because that gives you clues to how you're going to respond. Nowadays, as in acting and actors and actresses, we're required to do a lot of self-taping. And I try to always remind myself to obviously study my lines. You're studying your lines, you're focusing on your lines, you're developing your character, you're seeing who this character is and how this character fits in the scene. But always read through completely once or twice what the other character is saying right before your line so that you can pick up those clues. Sometimes there's clear clues in what the other person says. Excuse me, let me sit up a bit. Sometimes there's clear clues in what the other person says that will help you as you deliver your lines. I got this crappy chair. Let me straighten it out a bit. I've been saying for the last year to get myself a better chair, and I haven't done that yet, but that's next on my list. Let me grab a drink of water. Excuse me, real quick. Excuse me. Okay, so listening. Remember, listening is a big part of the actor's job. So you need to get into the habit of doing it. Do it in real life. It's only going to help you. It's going to help you actually tell you the truth. It's going to help you be a better person. It's going to help you be a better friend, a better husband, wife, girl, boyfriend, girlfriend, teacher, student, employer, employee relationships. It can help all your relationships if you truly listen. Don't pretend to listen, even in acting. Don't pretend to listen. Really listen to what's being said to you, what's being said to the other characters in the scene. Don't just listen to what's being said to you. Listen when the other actors speak. You're in a scene with 4 or 5 actors, everybody has something to say. Listen to it. And you don't have to do anything. I mentioned in a previous video that I was watching a series, German series. I still can't remember the name, but it's on Netflix. But anyway, the two main, one of the two of the, it was probably ensemble cast. It was probably like 4 or 5 main actors, and 2 of the actors had that problem that actors sometimes have, where they can't be still. When they're listening, they feel obligated to do something. And I don't want you to get into that habit, because it's a bad habit to have and it's a bad habit to break when you try to do too much. When you're listening, listen like you do in real life. You look at the person. Maybe you want to acknowledge something, if you really truly want to acknowledge it, with a nod, or something. But you don't have to make some kind of response to every move or every word they say. That's not realistic. That's overdoing it. So if you have that habit, that's something you need to break right away. Let's go on to the next one. Response is more important than expression. What you do after something happens matters more than how emotional you try to look. So, okay, this is a good one for new actors also. You don't have to always express your emotions with some kind of grimace or some kind of look or some kind of broad smile or some kind of facial expression. What you do after something happens matters more than how emotional you try to look, because you don't want to think about what you're doing as far as, okay, I'm gonna tweak this eye and tweak that eye, and and grip and make the wrinkles in my forehead come up, or frown really hard, or poke out my lips, or you want to respond naturally. That's where bringing in, and I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted. I think my mic was moving a little bit. No, it's not. That's where you want to let your real reactions come to life. What would you normally do? How do you normally do it? You don't think about it, do you? When someone says something to you, you don't think about, how are my eyes? Where are my hands? How's my mouth? Where's my Are my eyebrows up? Are my eyebrows down? You don't think about that stuff. You just respond naturally. You live truthfully under these imaginary circumstances. Those are words that you need to understand. Those are words that you need to burn as an actor or actress. You need to burn those words into your DNA. You're responding with words that were written for you, but you want to make those words your own. Unless it's something written in the script, obviously. Now, a lot of what I say, I need to say this early on, and I need to repeat it often for new actors. Sometimes there will be specific things that you need to do in the script that move the story along or are part of the story. And those will be, as I say, as I call it, marbled on top of your interpretation of the role. Certain things you need to do. If the character has a nervous twitch and his eye keeps twitching, obviously your eye is going to twitch when you feel the moment that it needs to twitch. Or if there's something specifically written into the script that, he or she bites their lip when they tell a lie. I'm not talking about those obvious things that are part of the script that you have to do because it's part of the story. And it doesn't come natural because it's not something you naturally do. I'm talking about the normal, the natural, the unscripted elements that an actor brings to a character. And a lot of times, most of those unscripted elements are from you. They're real because that's you. There's always going to be, I don't care who it is, the biggest A-lister to the smallest unknown. What makes them believable, what makes them good is that a lot of themselves are in the role, are delivered as they deliver the role, as they bring the character to life. There's no way around it. You're playing this character, and bits and pieces of you are going to naturally come out. And that's what I'm basically talking about when I'm talking to beginning actors. Don't be afraid to let that stuff come out because it's you. And if the director sees something they don't like, they'll tell you. They'll tell you, and then you can tamp it down. But most of the choices you make come from you or how whoever you're basing the character on. Could be somebody in your life, could be your mother, your father, your grandfather, your sister, your brother, somebody you went to school with. Once those nuances of the character take over, you bring those to life. That's your job as the actor. Anything scripted obviously will be marbled into the performance, but that's, as I say, the icing on top. The underlining, the underlining believability, and what makes you believable as an actor is that you deliver the lines, the scripted lines, believably, as if they're your words. And you respond to what the other characters say to you believably, as if it's your true response. So whenever I say, excuse me, whenever I say, respond how you naturally would, yes. But if there's something that needs to be added in, obviously you add that in because that's part of the role. That's part of the job as the actor. So let's go on to the next one. Um, Truth beats technique every time. Technique helps, but truthful behavior is what reads on camera and lands on stage. Truthful behavior is what reads on camera and lands on stage. That's where I'm talking about elements of yourself are going to come to life. There's no way you can perform that role without mixing elements of yourself into it. You're the actor, but the character is living through you, almost like channeling. He's coming through you. So bits and pieces of you obviously are going to be mixed in with it. How you respond, how you speak, the pace at which you speak, the the way you listen, what you do while you're listening, what you do while you remember, what you do while you're really listening. You're not pretending to listen. You're really listening to the other characters who are speaking to you. And then you respond. Sometimes you might respond right away. Sometimes you may think for a moment if someone says something to you shocking, if someone says something to you that um, you weren't expecting. We need to see that. We don't need to see the rapid fire, the old style acting from the 30s where everyone had the quick one liner. Boom, 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 boom. You want to dance? Let's go outside. Yeah. You want to play this game? Okay. Yeah, I can play this game. Yeah. You want to, you want to dance with a cop? Okay. Yeah. If you dance with a cop, sometimes you're going to end up on your back. We're not talking about that old style. That used to be an old style of acting where it's that rapid fire delivery. Go back and go on the internet now and watch a couple of films, some of the top films from the 30s, some 30s and 40s. You'll see that type of style. Where was that rapid fire style? We're in the realm now of realism, unless the project calls for something else. And there are some projects that I was mentioning in a previous video. Projects, television projects, are the ones that deviate a lot from reality, where sometimes the shows are bigger and broader, almost like they're on stage. So you play it how the show's written. You fit in, but you're still going to bring that believability. You're still going to bring that truth. You're still going to live truthfully under these imaginary circumstances. Now, the circumstances can be altered because of the project. It may be at some type of slapstick show where everything is bigger, everything is wilder, everything is faster. So you do that by you learn that by becoming familiar with the show, becoming familiar with what's expected. And that's something you should do at the audition. If you're not familiar about the show before the audition, you should find out, you know, what is this show like? How do the all of the how do the most majority of the characters speak? What's the pacing? Sitcoms are different. Um, Again, broad comedies are different. There's some wacky comedies out there. There are comedies, dramas. There are a lot of dramas out there where everyone speaks excruciatingly slow, where every line is delivered with a long pause or pauses in between. So yeah, you need to find out the style of the show. That's something else too that can help you in the audition. And also if you book a role and you have the luxury of rehearsing, which is really a luxury. So you'll need to find out, about the show and get yourself familiar with what they expect from you. But again, whatever they expect from you is still going to be your level of believability, where you're truly listening. You're truly responding to what's being said to you. So keep that in mind. Uh, Let's see, what else do I want to go down here? Let me scroll down my list a little bit. I was planning on bringing this in to 30 minutes, but I'll cover some of these other topics in the next video. Here's one. It's really good. Connection is the currency directors and audiences recognize. Casting doesn't respond to clever line readings. They respond to presence and connection. Now, what that means is when you're thinking about it, connection is the currency directors and audiences respond to. When you are believable, when you're living truthfully under these imaginary circumstances, and you're really actively listening to whoever's speaking to you in the scene, whoever's talking to you, you're actively listening and you're connected with that other person. The camera can see that. On stage, they can see that. Even if they're in the cheap seats, they can see that. But you must really be connected. You're waiting to see what they're going to say. And this is the first time, and you're listening to it. This is the first time those words are coming out of their mouth, and you're connected. Because once you hear what they say, you're going to respond. You might pause for a moment. You might think about what they said. They may say something that shocks you. They may say something that disturbs you. So you won't have that rapid fire response unless you're in a heated argument and you're not thinking about what you're saying. You're just responding. You're reacting like we talked about at the beginning of this video. You're reacting to what's being said to you or being said about you without thinking. That can be truthful. That can show the connection you have. Either way, but you really need to be connected. You need to make yourself believe that this situation is real. And that's going to help you connect. There's no mysticism in this. It's just a matter of focus and concentration. Where and with acting on the stage, you can get even deeper. You can fall even closer into this imaginary circumstance because you don't break like you do in film. You may have a scene on stage that runs 3 or 4 minutes. And all that time, you have to be believable in these imaginary circumstances. And you have to stay connected. You have to actively listen. You have to be engaged. That's why it's the beauty of the stage when you really get to immerse yourself in a character, where you really can become alive and forget about how am I going to pay my bills tonight or my auto insurance is overdue. None of those things are in your mind when you're truly engaged, when you're truly living in that moment, when you're truly alive in that imaginary circumstance. It's like a vacation, even if you're in a scene where something horrible is happening to your character. But if you're truly engaged, you're not thinking about your real self. You're thinking about this imaginary circumstance is real, and this is happening to me right now, and I have to respond to how this is affecting me. Do I need to defend myself? Do I need to run? Do I need to fight? Do I need to scream? Do I need to be in shock? You need to act truthfully, believably in these imaginary circumstances. So that's where the connection comes in. Connection comes from focus and concentration and blocking out whatever else is going on. It could be camera people. There will be, if you're in a film, there will be camera people, sound people, crew moving behind the scenes, but all that has to disappear. And that comes with experience, where you can make that all disappear. And the only thing that's real for those few moments is this imaginary circumstance that you're in. And your character is living in this imaginary circumstance. And that is what's real. That is what's important. That's the only thing that's important at that moment. That makes you truly connected. That makes you good. That makes you believable. That makes you someone that the director wants to watch and wants to continue to work with. That makes you someone who the audience wants to watch and wants to continue to watch in this project and other projects. That you take it serious. That for those moments when that scene is going on, that is real. That is it. You give your full buy-in at those moments. Nothing else is real. The only thing is real is this imaginary circumstance. And you want to live truthfully in that imaginary circumstance. That's what that term means. That's what it means. Nothing else in the world is real at that moment except what's happening. What you and your fellow actors are bringing alive at that moment, that's what really, that's what the camera sees. That's what the audience on stage expects to see. When they look up on stage, that's what they expect to see. You fully committed. You fully connected. You bought into it. It's real for you. And they can see that. They can see that. You don't have to do anything special. You just have to truly believe it and do it. And as you do it more and more and more and more, that's why I tell people to rehearse with friends, rehearse with fellow actors, shoot short films with your iPhone, because the more you can do it, the more you'll build up that confidence, and the more you won't even think about it. You'll be able to turn it on and off. Once they say cut, boom, okay, now reality comes rushing back in. But it's something that comes with experience. It's something that comes from doing it, even if it's in a class. Again, even if it's in a class, even if it's in rehearsal with fellow actors, even if it's in rehearsal with you videotaping yourself and someone reading lines with you off camera or over a cell phone. That's what makes you good. And the way to get good is to do it. Pardon the, I had the window open across the room, so you probably can hear a fire engine or something off in the background. But let's get to the last one. Let's see what it is. The fundamental, Let's see. The sooner beginners learn this, the faster they grow. Understand this early. Prevents years of confusion, blah, 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 blah. Strong fundamentals travel across every format. If you can, okay, yes, I'm sorry. Here we go. Strong fundamentals travel across every format. If you can listen, respond, and behave truthfully, you can work in film, television, commercials, or theater. Let me read that one more time. Strong fundamentals, strong acting fundamentals travel across every format. If you can listen, respond, and behave truthfully, you can work in film, television, commercial, or theater. So that's the basics of this whole video. You have to learn to listen. You have to respond truthfully. You have to behave truthfully. That's the key. That's the key. You need to be able to make yourself believe that this imaginary circumstance is real. And you want to live truthfully under that imaginary circumstance. So that's the key takeaway from this one. Again, refer back to Tony Barr's Acting for the Camera. Lots of great information in that book. You can get it on Amazon. Also, check out my other videos on my channel. You'll see the link to my channel below. Let me sit up. I started slouching again. I have my my pillow here, trying to make myself sit nice and tall and straight, like they told me in school. But yes, follow up. Again, read that book. And there are many books out there, method acting books. We'll talk about some of those in future videos. But for now, we're focusing on a lot of the content that I learned from acting for the camera. And there's a lot of good stuff in there. And I hope you pick up a copy, start reading it. It's going to help you out when you watch more of my videos. And it's going to help you out in general, help you make the decision, is this a career I want to follow? It's going to point you towards more things that you can learn, that you need to learn. And as an actor or an actress, there are a lot of things you can learn on your own and do on your own to make yourself better, to make yourself more believable, to make yourself more employable, and to make yourself a person who has that necessary confidence to let go of everything and live truthfully under those imaginary circumstances. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.